So scaling to six-figure days. So in this lesson, we're going to take a deep dive into a real-world case study of a store that scaled from six-figure years to six-figure days. So when Row Nutrition reached out to us, they were stuck. Cold traffic used to hit their store and bounce straight away. And this meant that they had low conversions, they had high ad costs, and they basically had no ability to scale efficiently. And no pop-up or cart tweak could fix that. If you remember from the previous lesson, gimmicky stuff, as we know, won't really move the needle. It won't solve their fundamental problems. And what they needed was focus. They needed to focus on the fundamentals. So this is what we started to do. We started with the value prop. So the value proposition, and that basically is, what is the unique main benefit behind the brand? What is the main value that they are offering to their customers, to their niche? And so we tried to tear that apart and look at it. And what we found as being their value proposition is they're basically selling these ultra high absorption liquid vitamins. So liquid vitamins, but ultra high absorption. And the benefit of that to people is, higher absorption and convenience. Having your vitamins in liquid form is easier and more comfortable for people to take than tablets. So that's what we were trying to sell to people. And you can see this is the messaging that they had on their very, very first default Shopify theme. Vitamins absorbed better, just very basic messaging. And then we changed that to ultra high absorption, liquid, and then whatever the vitamin that they were selling. And at the time, they only had like a few products at the store at the start, and one of them was NAD. So that's what we have in this first landing page that we built for them. So then we use image writing to basically take the value proposition, so take the main message of the brand and communicate it in a way that's so much more efficient for people to consume and so much more potent. That's the main thing. So here you can see we're taking this image of a influencer pouring the liquid into one of their little bottles and showing it. And for creatine, so many people in the creatine space, they're used to having it in powder. And a lot of people hate the powder. It's more messy. It's all of that. So we're showing the guy in the gym pouring it into his little bottle, and it ties in with the headline: liquid creatine is superior to everything. By doing this, by applying image writing, by applying more powerful messaging to the landing pages that we were creating for them, every scroll earned more attention. Every line earned more weight because people were scrolling through a lot deeper in the page because it wasn't feeling like an essay for them to go through the entire page. It was feeling more engaging. We're using images to communicate the message faster to them. And so they scrolled longer, they were getting more persuaded, and they were more likely and more primed to buy. And so next was UX UI. And so from heat map audits and Shopify data, we found that 85% of users were on mobile. So because of that, we rebuilt everything in mobile first. Landing pages, product pages, even their homepage. We redesigned everything to be optimized for mobile. And you can see here an example of what we did on their homepage landing page. So we replaced their old headline with a clearer headline. We added in social proof. We added in 3 benefits over here. Okay, nicely formatted so that people can at a glance see what the main benefits of this brand is, of their product. Added in a nice call to action above the fold, so a button that will get them to the next stage in the journey. We added in the guarantee, so people know, okay, if I try Row, there's basically no risk of me losing my money. If I don't like it, I've got 60 days to try it. And then we use a model using a best-selling product. So you can see a model here squeezing it and drinking it. It's captivating, shows the end results, having a fit body. We know that Row have maybe a 30s to 40 plus audience. So we're using an influencer who resonates with that audience. And we've got his details down here. Eric Hyman, he's a 5 times Ironman. So you can see all the different elements that are going into this section. Now, this is only one section. You can imagine this strategy, this UX UI focus being applied to every other instance of their store, which is what we did over the course of a year and a half. So we killed friction, and this meant more conversions from the same ad spend. You can see a full example of, or a bigger example of the homepage that we ended up designing for them. You can see that hero section that we just took a look at, followed by a bestsellers section, then a bundles section, and then we have a featured product section. Then we got more social proof, and there's a few other sections below that. We're not using a standard Shopify theme. Everything's custom made because everything had a strategy behind it. Every section that we put in here is strategic. instead of just following a standard Shopify theme that just has random sections in there just to kind of look good, just to kind of fill up the space, which is how, a fair few people think when they come to like landing pages and sites. Let's just install a template that looks good and then populate it with some text. You can see for this homepage, we're keeping it really light. There's only a few sections below this. So it's a really short homepage, and yet we're doing a lot there. It's very sales orientated. We've got the product categories, links to the best-selling products, and we got some featured products that are new releases down here. We got the bundles, which are really, really successful for Row. And then there's a little bit more education below that if people want to learn a little bit more about the brand. Then the next step is we attack the offer. So we went from selling single bottles, which is what Row was doing at the start. They were just selling basically the bottles on their own, which I think were around, let's say, $30 to $50 each. And we put them in high AOV bundles. And one of the bundles that we launched recently, there's no price here because this is the Figma, but I think I have a screenshot. Yeah, I've got a screenshot of it here. It's basically a $335 bundle. And it's combining all of the best sellers in this total Row stack. Now, the crazy thing is this offer sold out within a few weeks of launching it. It was that successful, and it's still crushing to them today. And it shows you, I really want to communicate this. This is the power of your offer, because an offer is absolutely critical. You can have the most beautiful messaging, you can have the most beautiful UX UI, but if you don't glue it together with a really good offer, basically you'll hit a ceiling with where you're scaling to. So we went from single bottles to high AOV bundles. The result, selling out on bundles priced at $335. And they were hitting a consistent 6.1% conversion rate site-wide at scale with cold traffic. So this is how they're hitting six-figure days. This is how they went from six-figure years to six-figure days. And this, I want to just be real here. This is not overnight. We didn't just implement the formula in a week and they had that drastic of a change. It took time. It took time to look at the data. It took time to implement all the different pages that we're talking about. But this is only within a year and a half. And if you think about that big of an uplift, that big of a dramatic change in scaling a brand over that time window, that's incredibly fast. That's incredibly fast. And this is how you do it. This is how you do it, by focusing on what actually matters, by focusing on the fundamentals. Because once you have the fundamentals in place, now you're able to just spend more money. You're able to scale so much more faster. And Row, they're at the 8-figure level now. They're soon to be 9 figures, and I cannot wait for them to get to 9 figures, because then, of course, I'll be posting a lot more about them and flexing that. But it all comes down to the fundamental principles, and they're able to partner with people like Gary Brecker now and launch their own huge events and stuff like that. And they're turning into quite a big corporate company now. So a reminder, no pop-up hacks, no flashy upsells, just brute simplicity and focus on the basics, on what actually drives conversions. And here's a reminder: compelling image writing, high AOV offers, zero friction UX UI. And this is what we focused on for the course of a year and a half. And we're still focusing on it with them today. We're still helping them scale and move the needle, tweaking and optimizing the foundations. This is what unleashes the majority of your results. And here's it basically in action. You can see this is a screenshot of some of the Figma designs that we've done for Row. You can see these are the principles across all of the different pages. Building a funnel. We started with landing pages. We started on those one pages so that they could send traffic to that one page and get a really good uplift. And then from there, we went to other pages across their website. And eventually we built them this entire funnel, a funnel that's built to scale. So in summary of this lesson, scaling to 6-figure days. So the simple things often lead to the biggest results. And by that, I mean your fundamentals. Without optimizing your fundamentals, your ability to scale will be capped. And the recipe for success is to focus on the basics at all costs. Do not get distracted by gimmicks and shortcuts. True growth is often boring, repetitive, and requires discipline. But here's a good point to remember. The only thing hard or truly hard about scaling is you. And that's the only thing that's basically limiting you, is your thinking. If you can't scale, it's not necessarily that your product or market sucks. It's more likely that you're thinking about it the wrong way. So I'll see you in the next lesson.